Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with...
Melrose Place super bitch, Elizabeth Helly.
And...
Tyler Hymanson.
you got nothing
I was going to tell you before, but then I was like, I'm just going to do it.
Oh, well, we are back for another episode on the Carrie franchise this week. We're talking about The Rage, Carrie 2. Man, what a title. What a title for a movie.
I know.
Not just Carrie 2, The Rage, Carrie 2. Makes total sense to me. Mm-hmm. Before we get too far, a couple little housekeeping things, and then we have a special guest this week.
Yeah. First of all, email us your suggestions on future franchises and any other questions you have to sequelrights@gmail.com. And you can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars goes a long way, and we really appreciate it.
All right. And yes, we do have a super special guest today. She is an awesome filmmaker and my friend and coworker, Tani Shukla. Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks
Welcome
for being
to
here.
join us to talking about this awful, awful movie.
Oh, it was great. It was the highlight of my week. I'm serious, and I am serious.
Nice. That's
So
great.
you had never seen any Carrie movies, right?
No, and it's been on my movies to watch during October list for a long time. So I'm glad I not only got to see the original Carrie, but also got to see the sequel, and would definitely be interested in watching future ones. It was very entertaining.
Yes.
Well, that's great. Glad to hear that you weren't this was a mistake. Watching this movie was a mistake.
Not at all.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you know what? Why don't we just dive right in?
All your life, you've known that you were different.
It must be nice not having to be like everybody else.
Sometimes I really wish I could just be one of the shiny, happy people, you know?
Come on, this girl's just a skank. You don't even know her. What, you do? Yeah, I do know her.
The others don't understand you.
At least be seen with someone cool, someone who counts.
Maybe somebody needs to teach the two of them a little lesson.
And they
Rachel?
don't want you around.
If you want to talk out your feelings.
No!
Well, to hell with them.
So you want to know how I'm feeling today?
Oh, God.
Ooh, trailer guy. Really getting into that one.
Was that a crow noise at the end?
Oh, yeah. Like this?
Yeah. I'm sorry, eagle.
I was like, I was going to get into the crow noise at the end of the movie as well. But...
You want to know how I'm feeling today?
That's how, okay? Yeah. Oh, my God. I actually had to cut out, there was a whole nother minute of just dialogue from the movie before the trailer guy even comes in. Oh, man. But yeah, so here we are. We went from 1976 all the way to, 1999? Wow. Someone was like, hey, what's lying around that we could still maybe do another movie on?
Apparently, this movie was originally called The Curse. And it was supposed to start production in 1996 with Emily Burkle, same lead. And it heavily borrowed from a real life incident in 1993. But then it somewhere along the way in development hell became a Carrie sequel.
Carrie 2, Sorry Not Sorry. No, I'm kidding.
No, it was literally called Carrie 2, Say You're Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, what was it? Sorry Not Sorry? Yeah.
You wouldn't happen to have a game of guess the tagline for this lined up, would you?
No, I don't. There's not.
Do you have that drop? Because we could play it if you wanted to. Otherwise, we could just talk about the terrible.
There is a tagline. It's pretty bad, but
yeah, looks can kill, guys.
Yeah, I know. They sure can. Did you?
That's what this movie's about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you want to go into it, but Tyler, did you read about that? I I didn't know that this was based on a true story. And it's
No, I did not
awful.
go into it, but I am sure that of course it is. And God damn it.
Yeah.
Teens have been gamifying inappropriate behavior since the dawn of time.
Yeah. It's just really, it really sucks. And it's like at the end of the Wikipedia article, it's like, charges weren't pressed against any of these people. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't want to ruin a young boy's life.
I know. God.
I was getting real promising young woman vibes from that whole scene.
Yeah. Definitely.
We were just kids.
Yeah.
Ugh, man.
Blech.
Yeah, so I mean, as we've alluded to, this Carrie sequel kind of covers a little bit different ground than the first movie.
Well, also incorporating just footage from the first movie.
Yeah,
but also like the same ground, literally from the first movie.
Exactly. It's like different, but the same. Yeah, exactly.
At least they rebuilt the high school on a different site and never bothered to tear down the old one.
Yeah,
I know. I was like, it's been 20 something years, over 20 years.
Also, like
cursed.
the only use for the burnt down old high school is for middle schoolers and high schoolers to go to and scare each other. Like, there's no way that she hadn't been there already.
Yeah.
Like,
Although
that's
it's
the
a
only
pretty
reason it
incredible
exists.
set.
Yes.
Apparently, it was like some abandoned, burnt down yarn factory. And it looks great, like the fact they were able to find that location. But
I just want to know what happened at the yarn factory.
Too much yarn. Too much
the
yarn.
historical event, like the triangle shirt waist situation.
Well,
Either that or Jackie
Yeah,
Chan got
yeah.
in there, caused a ruckus.
Oh man.
Well, where does this movie start us? We got another crazy mom.
I know how to make the movie different. Let's call her Rachel instead of Carrie.
Rachel.
It starts with a lot of close-up shots of paint. Lots of paint.
Yes, lots of paint. Then a little girl gets slapped in the face with a paintbrush. And then
There's so much slapping.
I
20
guess what-
years have passed, but no less slapping.
And I guess the telekinesis power manifests itself in a predator vision that's also like Danny DeVito's dog vision from Look Who's Talking Now.
I did not
It's a
understand
really
why.
flat, black and white snorkel cam thing that it's unclear if it's like an affectation where Rachel refers to herself in the second person.
Didn't like it. I was like, why are certain times it's black and white, sometimes it's not? I don't really understand.
Sometimes it's her point of view. Sometimes it's not. I just think that they were like, you know what? Black and white is going to be my split diopter. And that's what's going to make my mark in this movie.
Yeah. Also,
and instead of the violins, it's just a knife every time she uses her powers.
Yeah.
Speaking of sound effects,
yeah.
sound effects, they're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna just like on chorus, on beat.
Yeah. And why does it come at the
Remember-
end?
Remember a character saying that, like in the original one, but I remember hearing it in the original one, like in the auditorium or for the prom. But I was just like, where's this coming from? And now we're using it again.
Well,
The mom says it once,
but not that
then
same
it was
way.
like and then like then they bring it back as like her like distorted nightmare echo. Then it was like on an Adam Sandler album in the early 90s, and then they brought it back to for this movie because it's like, oh, it's just the iconic thing, you have to have it.
But Rachel doesn't know she's related to Carrie, nor does anyone know that Carrie's mom said that to her.
Can we talk about that bullshit? Like, this is one of the
sense.
things that's the worst thing about a sequel. Like, not only is like, Carrie is about, a woman coming into her own power and everything else like that, and this movie is just like, nope, her dad was special. Her dad gave the telekinetic powers, and that's what happened, and that's why this girl's special as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I told you, like, was kind of lame about the book. And then they were like, let's put it in the second movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's a recessive gene.
I was waiting to the end of the credits for Patrick Stewart to show up in a wheelchair and be like, you need to come with me.
Instead, you just got to hear more shitty music. Sorry.
No, it's fine. After I watched the first one, I thought, like, the father was, like, a demon or, like, not just some guy with a recessive trait that she needs to now go to a psychiatric hospital and be sedated for. Like, what?
Yeah.
Also, why did the mom have to be sedated? He didn't pass it on to her through sex.
She was just crazy, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, that dude just had a real
thing
thing
for
for religious crazies. Yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
Now's his time. I mean, that guy right now out there, so many possibilities.
Lots of babies
He's
with
gotta have that
telekinesis.
whiskey on his breath.
Yeah. That Roadhouse whiskey.
I liked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a guy in this movie from Roadhouse.
Wait, who's from Roadhouse?
I don't know. One of the
Oh, okay.
bros. Yeah.
One of the 40-year-olds that are at this high school.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The guy who looks like a beefed out Mark McGrath or whatever.
Oh my God. Yes. When
you think that's
showed
why-
him shirtless? I was like, oh my God, that guy's like 40.
Do you think that the reason that they didn't have a Sugar Ray song in this is because that guy looked too much like Mark McGrath, and they were like, no, let's just use Goldfinger instead?
Yeah. I mean, I looked it up. I was like, is that Mark McGrath? I don't think it makes sense for it to be him, but maybe.
For a split second, this movie was called The Rage. Carrie 2 is that Mark McGrath.
The Sugar Rage.
Hey.
And that's the end of our episode. We're going to end with
Good
Sugar
night.
Rage.
Good
And
night.
yeah, we've done it.
Oh, man.
Okay, so let's actually say what's happening here.
Yep.
Rachel is the main character. Her mom was crazy, and so she's in Arkham Asylum with all the Batman villains.
Yeah, why was it? I was like, oh, it's a Batman movie. Is that
I'm sure she knows the Scarecrow and all those other guys.
It's like, is that a common psychiatric hospital name?
Joker's mom?
Calendar Man, the Clock King.
Martha's probably in
everyone's
there
favorite.
too. I suppose.
Martha, yeah. Okay, anyways. And so she lives with the horrible foster family, but the important thing is she got to keep her dog. And I was kind of like, I think if original Carrie had had a dog, this whole thing would have turned out way differently.
That's true. There's also a point where this movie leads you to believe that they're going to do a pet cemetery and kill his dog.
That was an intense fake dog murder.
Yes, it really was. I was like,
looked
really? Is
so
this movie
fake.
going to have a suicide, a rape, and a dog murder? Because
Also, like, I watched that. Okay, I didn't watch it back, but I thought it back in my head, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that dog would have been dead for sure.
Sure, yeah.
Also, that was one of the few scenes that my wife watched and was like,
yeah.
oh my God, no.
Yeah, she has that same kind of dog, right?
Yeah, that's, she has a beagle. Yeah, I don't know if that was a beagle or like a
Oh,
basset
okay. I don't know the
hound.
dog
get them
types, but
confused,
yeah, they look the same.
But
Doggist.
the dog would have been dead for sure. It rolled
scary.
multiple times underneath a semi truck. But it was
Yeah.
fine. It was totally fine.
So this is like probably the most 90s thing we've ever watched. It is so hardcore
It's
90s.
crazy. It even has the cast of American Pie.
There's an amazing shot of the aforementioned Goldfinger needle drop where they play like all of that song and it pans across the high school and there's just kids and the shot leads to nothing. It literally fades to black and then picks up somewhere else in the high school. But there's kids just like standing with super soakers like, shooting each other in the middle of the high school. It's just like, what is this? Well, it's the 90s. Of course this is what's happening.
I was like, wow, this is so authentic during that scene.
Did teenage boys wear lip gloss in the 90s? Because there's one close-up shot of this dude talking, and it's just shiny.
Was that Zachary Ty Bryan?
Zachary
I don't
Ty Bryan,
remember.
yeah, from Home Improvement.
Oh, yeah.
he had just made out with his girlfriend that was just really into lip smackers at the time.
Yes. Yeah.
It's lip gloss that you eat. Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Like, Mena Savari is in the beginning of this movie, and her hair or wig is like insane, and her hair is so messy. And then I was just kind of like, maybe people in the 90s just like did their hair that way on purpose or something, but it's like out of control. And then she goes to the roof and promptly kills herself.
Yeah,
in a very dramatic scene that we see like 500 times.
Yeah. Yeah. That scene where she is like slowly walking, or she comes out of a like dark room and then is slowly walking. I was so confused. Like, I'm like, did I miss a scene somewhere? Like, what is?
I literally rewound it. I was like, what? Like, what did I miss?
Yeah,
Like,
what happened to
did
her?
they say something specific in the classroom, or like, what was this?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I know the guy was like, ew, my friends think she's gross. But then I didn't see. It was like we missed something that should have maybe happened.
If I told you that the screenwriter made a cameo as this English teacher, you would probably believe me, but it would be a complete fabrication.
Oh, the Romeo and Juliet guy?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, the way she kills herself, too, is so dramatic, and it looks like she's possessed or something, you know? And it's just like, they make it seem like that's going to be part of the supernatural aspects of the movie, but it's like, nope, that's just how she chose to kill herself and somehow manage not to scream or flail or, you know, do anything that you would do physics wise when jumping off a roof. And it was just like very strange.
And I really hated that because it's like how I interpreted it was, okay, so she got broken up with, or did she find out about the ratings in the book? And
it's like he broke up with her or something. Yeah.
No, it seems, I think that he told her about the book in his breakup. Like, I think that what's implied is that like she was getting serious and he tried to break it off. And then he was like, you don't even mean anything to me. And then explained like what the book was and everything else. It's not the way that this movie handles suicide is not, would not fly today and has fairly problematic for a lot of reasons. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can't say for sure that no one would kill themselves that way so immediately after that conversation, but I don't know. It's like, you at least tell your friend or, you know, try to talk to someone or, you know, literally do anything first instead of walk straight up to the roof like immediately after.
She did leave a note in her locker, didn't she? Or
she did.
Yep.
Didn't they read a note that had like the photo like ticket
tag? Yep.
That was like, oh, this guy did this to me. I don't remember exactly what it said.
So yeah, let's talk about the game, the sex game or whatever.
Yes.
It's terrible.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's just like who can get the most points.
I took a photo. There is an insert shot of the written rules of this game.
Okay, good. The rules were not clear to me, so let's hear them.
If you would like me to read them all aloud, I can do that, or I can just lead the funny. Okay, so here are the rules of the game with a paperclip written in a pretty clean handwriting that an art director definitely did. 1, game lasts the entire duration of the football season. 2, winner is the one with the highest point total over the course of the game. 3, winner receives 1 keg of beer of their choice to be purchased by other players. 4, point values are assigned by the following criteria. A, blowjobs are worth only 1 point. B, swallowing gives you an extra point. C, to remain in the competition, you must score at least 5 points per month. D, add 1 point for each article of clothing kept from the girls. E, if witnessed by other members of the thing, get 2 points. Then at the bottom 2, 1 point for eating pussy, and then 1 point for exotic location.
Oh.
So couldn't you just... Well, oh, no. They were all watching each other. But
wait, so what was the sex itself is how many points?
That's not detailed. The sex itself is not detailed. The blowjob is 1, and then there's going down an exotic location.
So really the only way to get points is to make sure that she takes off both socks and removes like her hat. And
also, there's no way that these fucking toxic douchebag football players were like, yeah, and you get extra points for going down on her.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, no.
They were like -5 if you do that. Yeah.
The movie.
And if she has an orgasm, -10.
Yeah. It's like, so someone may have made that prop, but the movie makes it seem like the point system is based solely on their looks and maybe how skanky they are, according to them.
Maybe that was implied, but not written out. Like the base score is based on how good the girl is, and then you like plus and minus on the...
It just seemed like it was Mark McGrath's purview to just like use it to talk shit to all of his friends. That's what it seemed like.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I like how he tried to cross off her name after she committed suicide too. Like, what rule was that?
He's just trying to keep it honest.
Yeah. Like crossing off her name after she died doesn't seem suspicious at all.
If they die within 48 hours, then you don't get the points.
That's messed up.
I mean, we're laughing about this
That's a
because
mulligan.
it's just so
It's awful.
fucking awful.
It's so awful. Like this would not even today would not even
No.
come. Yeah, no. Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. So that's what else is going on in the movie. We got a character from the first one back, which I was not expecting. Sue is there. Amy Irving.
the guidance counselor.
Again, this is an insane thing where like it's out that there's this like sex ring amongst the football players. A student has just killed themselves, and she's the guidance counselor, and she's like, "We really need to talk about this." And it's either the principal or somebody else comes by, and he's just like, "Are you sure? You're just being hysterical because you're still concerned about that woman who died 20 years ago."
That's right.
And then we get the flashback, and it's like, "No, I'm being very clear. There's a sex ring, and a child is dead, and we need to do something about it." And he's just like, "No, you're just being hysterical. Here's some exposition."
I really have to connect
I mean,
this
I
to the
did
previous
like-
movie. Let me do it.
I did like how hard the police detective and the DA were going until they caved. But like the fact that they were actually like, well, whatever, we don't care. We're going to charge you for statutory I was like, oh my gosh, someone's actually bringing that up. And then they, of course, caved from political pressure.
As soon as the judge was just like, "Oh,
Which is what happened in real life. Yeah. So.
I'm old. I'd like to remain a judge, I guess." I do like the inherent cynicism of the 90s of just being able to be like election year, and like that describes the scandal of like why I won't cave on it.
Yeah.
And then the main character guy whose name is
Jesse?
No? Jesse?
I think
I don't
Jesse
know.
sounds right to me.
White guy.
Chad.
He's like
It is Jesse,
nicer than the other ones because then he's gonna like go out with Rachel, even though she's very clearly told him and his friend that she's a lesbian. There's never any discussion. He just immediately starts going after her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, was she a lesbian?
Well,
I think she was just saying that to like ward them off.
Yeah,
I think
I mean that was just to get them out of the photo booth. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean Rachel has the cool job of working at the drive-through photo booth, photo development. I don't even know what you call it these days.
Kiosk.
Have those.
Photo kiosk. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean she meets the dude like after like they have that interaction in class, which is kind of like the poem callback from the first movie.
Yep.
But like they meet by like their meet cute is her dog getting mauled by that semi truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she's just standing in the middle of the road instead of like going back to her house or doing something, just like trying to yell at cars. And the dog, like for the scene was incredibly harrowing. But this dog, when she's holding it in her arms, is supposed to be mauled and in really bad condition.
It's
looks
fine.
delighted.
yeah. Looks like
this dog is thrilled.
normal dog.
But she's just standing in the middle of the road, just being like, "Somebody help me, somebody!" And it just happens to be our guy.
And then
It's
they go from there.
their relationship is very weird, and like I get that she's supposed to be the main character. We're kind of supposed to like her, but she has like the dumbest anecdotes that she tells this guy, like when they're sitting in the car. Like he's like, "Oh, how are you doing about the fact that your friend killed herself yesterday?" And she's like, "Sometimes I see people turn around and I think it's going to be her. And then it's like, sometimes it actually is her. But now whenever I see someone turn around, it's not ever going to be her again."
I know.
And I was like, what? What kind of a stupid story is that? Like,
I was gonna make that joke about Tyler, do a whole thing because of the pandemic.
And then sometimes when someone turns around, it is Justin.
Yeah, but the scene. I think she says that to the counselor. That thing about the turning around. But in
oh, okay. Well,
The scene-
all
no,
her
but
stories are
the scene in the
ridiculous.
car is the one where she's like, "Oh man, I used to have this friend who like would put a piece of spaghetti in his mouth." In his mouth and then pull it out his nose and then brain flossing, am I right? Is basically what she says. But then she goes on to be
some
like,
REM songs.
she goes on to be like, that's a talent, and you have talent in football. And football's gonna get you out of this town. And then this happens immediately after that.
Word.
They say word back and forth. The director and some of the special features is like, oh my god, we cut out some of this extra footage from the date scenes because like the chemistry between our two leads was just so great. Like we didn't need to see these scenes of them bowling and other stuff.
What?
And I was like, was it? That scene when they like say "I love you" to each other at the end and then stare at each other for like a minute before the ceiling falls on one of them was so charismatic.
It's like Romeo and Juliet, Justin.
Yeah, they just stared until one of them died.
I mean, I have to say I kind of lost my shit when I think his arm caught on fire and he's just trying to keep it together. He's like,
yeah. I was like, what is his plan here? He's just going to go down with the ship?
I think he just wanted to die with her.
I guess.
There are a lot of fire stunts in this movie, and there's one woman at this party who's on fire for like a good 2 minutes and different shots. And like you can tell that she clearly just has the burn gel on. And there's a take where like she's up against the fence, and it's truly horrifying because she is not having a good time.
Yeah, she's screaming like, help me. It's pretty funny.
That's a lot of work. Like you only have 10 seconds, I think, with someone on fire. So like that scene was really intense to film. I'm sure they went all out with them, all out of blazing.
I mean, this movie does have a really good telekinesis kill in that she doesn't like throw something. I mean, there's throwing people and impaling, and sure, you can have the De Palma's artfulness of, crucifying the mother with cutlery, or you can just have someone explode their eyeballs and then fire a harpoon gun through a man's ball sack and have it
glasses.
sail.
The glass.
No, I rewound it. I rewound it. It's literally her eyeballs just crunch, and then the glasses go.
Oh, I thought the glasses were going into her eyes. Okay.
Which is like, as a telekinetic power, that's one of the easiest things you can do.
My favorite was the flying CDs. Was by far my favorite.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, this movie, I was like sitting through it like, and then the big rage party at the end happens, and I was just cracking up the rest of the end of the film. Which made it all worth it.
It's like, man, do rich kids' parents just have harpoon guns lying around? Multiple loaded harpoon guns?
The fact they were gonna kill her with a harpoon gun is insane.
I also love the idea, like it's such a hard switch of just like they brought her here, they're gonna play a prank on her, an awful, terrible prank that we'll talk about more. But then they're just like, oh, she's going crazy. We gotta fucking kill her.
Yeah. And the guy's like trying to explain how to shoot a harpoon. Pull the strap, man. Pull the strap. What are you talking about? Pull the strap. This was so I messaged you guys earlier. I was like thinking back about the movie, and I don't know why, but I was having like such crazy deja vu thinking about this like end moment with the eyes exploding.
Deja vu to what?
Well, like I was thinking back about the movie, and I was like, to the point where I was like, did we watch another movie where someone harpooned the balls out of their body? Like, because I just had this weird feeling that we had already talked about a movie where a guy gets stuck
Free Willy 3.
No, it was Cabin Fever.
There was
a harpoon?
Maybe.
The Sean Astin one, the island one.
Oh, see, maybe that's why
that did happen.
Maybe that's why I was like, God, I feel like this happened already.
Oh, God,
it's so weird. But that was a hilarious moment, and I'm glad that he just immediately died from that. That's great.
There's a scene where they decide to haze her by like making it seem like her house is haunted and like shaking things and like they don't actually know her, like the fact that she's been experiencing this kind of stuff. So that idea is kind of interesting in that, like, oh, what if someone's, it's making her think her psychic powers are going out of control, but then it's just so dumb the way that it like
resolves
happens that it sort of,
And she's fairly quick to forgive them of like them spying on her in her house and like threatening her and like that shit
Breaking windows.
Yeah, like and she's like, oh, it's just boys being boys,
talking like Donald Duck or whatever.
That's insane.
How dare they bring Donald Duck into this?
That was just a weird situation.
Yeah, and her foster parents are horrible, by the way. Her foster dad slaps her in the face for coming in like in the morning or whatever in front of the mom. And even the mom's like, I don't think you should have done that.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, like part of the thing that she's looking forward to is like her mom getting out of the asylum. I mean, I guess we could talk about that whole B plot.
So stupid.
Amy
That
Irving,
was that was such an easy escape.
Yeah.
There was no tension. It was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I need my purse. Okay.
It's quick.
just put gum on the magnetic lock, you know?
Yeah, the scene that actually had more tension was when they stole the lipstick from the store and not breaking the mom out of Arkham Asylum. Maybe you should stop putting all those supervillains in there, Batman. It's really easy to get out.
I hate the way I really hated the way that Amy Irving died at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
because I was like, it was so
way better.
Yeah, and it was so confusingly shot and unceremoniously done that I was like, it almost retroactively made it seem like she wasn't even in the movie. I was just like, oh, that's how she. Wait, was that even her? Was that her? I don't know. They both look like
love
crazy
the idea
ladies.
that things are going batshit in this house, and like she's been impaled through the head, and the mom's like kind of scared of the outside world already, and there's like complete bedlam going on the inside, and she's like, all right, I guess I'll go inside, see what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, like the teacher, like we talked about this in the first one, and the fact that the teacher dies is like a very kind of like important tenet of it. It really shows that like Carrie's lost control of her powers. She doesn't even care who's nice or who's mean. She thinks everybody's laughing at her regardless. And like the teacher kind of has to die, even though you like her and she's been nice to Carrie. I did not feel that way in this one. Like, I did not think that Amy Irving really had to die because Rachel didn't even see her. She didn't even know she was there. She just died like by chance because she was looking into the peephole thing, which doesn't even work that way. You have to be on the inside and look out.
Who let this woman be a guidance counselor? Yeah.
Yeah. And so she dies and Rachel doesn't even know about it or know that she did it. And so it really just like takes away all the poignancy of like the teacher getting killed in this situation.
And Sue doesn't even really know what's happening because she didn't go inside. So it's like, yeah, there need to be like some moment of her being like, oh my God, no, you have to stop this. And then getting killed would have been much more poignant.
And they didn't even like Rachel didn't even really like the guidance counselor. They didn't have like a bond of any sort. So I wouldn't be surprised if she killed her, even if she knew she was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unclear what her plan was. She was like, I have to get you there to I'll break you out of the insane asylum so that you can tell your daughter, because she'll only believe you freshly out of the insane asylum that her dad was the same dad of this crazy thing that happened 20 years ago. And that's why you have psychic powers. And that's why you need to stop. Because nothing calms down a teenage girl more than learning about their estranged father. And as a guidance counselor, she would know that. She would be experienced with 20 years of teenagers under her belt.
And it's weird because it brings in the telekinesis thing from the book. But the father being alive is only from the movie so that Carrie can have that like incredible line where she says, you know, the devil didn't take him away. He just left with another woman, you know, to Piper Laurie. But in the book, the dad like dies from a heart attack or something when Carrie's like 2, you know, like, so
like the mom dies of a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. Like lame. But yeah, and this, so they take the thing from the first movie that he has run away with some other woman, and then they take this whole telekinesis genetic thing from the book. I don't know.
Yeah. And also, her powers manifest as like a crazy tattoo that comes to life on her whole body.
Yes.
It was
So
funny.
looking at Instagram and looking online, like that's sort of like the most iconic thing from this movie that people are holding on to is this thing that becomes like a face tattoo.
It's like, what if we just made her kind of look like Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas? Like, like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, the effect looked cool, I guess, when it was expanding.
There were some moments where it looked, I could see like a VFX overlay. I was like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I was imagining it, but that's what it looked like.
I don't think you were.
I don't think so. Yeah.
When the boyfriend comes and sees her and he's like, Carrie, I still love you, blah, blah, blah. I thought he was going to be like, but I didn't realize you had a face tattoo now. Like, you know,
Does that go away? Yeah.
Yeah, is it gonna go away when you calm down? Like,
It was so funny. I bought the like triple feature DVDs or whatever, and they're like these old school DVDs, right? So it was one of those ones where it's like this side is full screen and the other side's widescreen.
Oh yeah.
And I put it in, and it was, every time I get these old DVDs, I'm like, oh man, like these things always had crazy Easter eggs and stuff. I should like look around and see if there's Easter eggs.
Oh no.
And sure enough, on the languages page, like was a big like photo of Rachel. And if you pushed like left a couple times or whatever, it highlighted like the thorns on her face or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, what's this gonna be? And I clicked it, and it was just like the menu went boom 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 boom, and then like the vines grew over the screen, and then that was it. And I was like, what? They did an Easter egg of that?
Justin, the reason why we are friends is because you took the time to hunt around the DVD menu.
I mean, come on, I gotta do it.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. They hit
like
stuff
bored
all
people
over the
at
place.
DVD houses were putting Easter eggs in there all the time.
Yeah. Usually they were more interesting than that, but
I mean, to be fair, you don't want your DVD to be more interesting than your movie, and it's about as interesting as it is in the movie.
If not more.
yeah.
we never really even know like what the tattoo symbolized or why they got it or why they had that little ritual or I don't know.
I think I thought the first movie, I mean, although it's definitely not subtle in a lot of ways, I think the second one went full throttle, like, we're really gonna make sure you know how angry she is by this tattoo going all over her body. Like,
We're not getting enough of the rage from like what she's doing. We need
like
to
if you couldn't tell, the house was on fire.
We need to see it manifested in some other way.
I will say, I think one of the things the movie does do well is the fake friendship between some of the girls and trying to trick her into coming to this party. The movie actually puts genuine effort and character development into trying to make that feel believable for the friends, not for the boyfriend, because like their behavior is inexcusable. But yeah, I thought that the lipstick scene was like fine. And I thought that the friend was like convincing, and like I could see why she would get the impression they're like, no, they really do want to be my friends. They want to accept me into their world.
The one who looks like a mom.
Yeah, I felt
who
that.
gets her eyes exploded.
Yeah. Yes.
She looks like, I just got out of being a bank teller for the day, and I'm going to go hang out with these high schoolers. Yeah.
Which is like kind of insane for this movie. I mean, it came out in 99, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Or is it? Yeah. So it's like, I wasn't that far off high school. Like, so like technically like these wouldn't be like, I was in junior high, but like to look at this, it feels like it's from such a different time from when I grew up. And I was, probably 3 or 4 years off what these people were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty far out there. How about the music?
Oh man.
Yeah, Justin, tell us about the music.
Well, it's like, I'm like, some of it is like, you watch The Matrix and you're like, oh yeah, that was music in the 90s. But there's this horrible song that's like the theme to Carrie 2 by the band Ra. And it's called, where did I lost?
Crazy Little Voices.
Crazy Little Voices. Yep, that's what it is. I had it up. And it's terrible. But it's like the end credit theme, and
Yes.
it's just like, you gotta rage. And we'll play it at the end here. But I mean,
Yes.
you know what? The thing I thought was really funny. I liked that Rachel was somehow like the only kid in the world who had a Marilyn Manson poster, but only listened to Billie Holiday all the time. I was like, why is she listening to all these old songs?
She was like 9 Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, like ska music playing all the time. And then when she's getting ready for the dance, it's like smooth jazz.
Yeah, there's I think there's like 2 Billie Holiday songs, and she's listening to them on headphones both times. I'm like, what? There's a giant Marilyn Manson poster in your room. Like, I don't understand why you'd be into this, but okay.
Yeah,
I was
boo,
gonna say-
Marilyn Manson, very bad.
Oh yeah,
Today's news.
yes,
Yeah.
He's an awful human.
I mean, I would be listening to Billie Holiday if I had to be followed around by some of these horrible score cues in this movie.
There's some real, there were a couple times where I didn't take notes, but I was just like, wow, what is happening with this music right now? It's like funky while they're doing some serious thing. I don't know. It was just really bad.
It was very all over the place.
And it sounded kind of like a really low rent version of like the Halloween theme a couple times. Like, I don't know. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh man. What else is really 90s? Someone's murdered by an automatic pool cover.
Yes.
Yeah. I
really liked that. Yeah, I liked that one.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
I was like, I do think that's like, not that there's many improvements over the first movie, but I feel like you do really get a fuck those kids in this one. Like, you really get to see them
fucking kill them.
Yeah, you really get to see them get fucked up. The kids in the other one are just like, oh, some of them burned, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, the nice one gets a bucket on us. Like the most dramatic thing is him getting the bucket to the face.
Yeah,
or the electrocution on the microphone maybe is another big one,
but it's like oh, it's more cheesy. This one had, like you said, compact discs flying at people. That was hilarious.
And spear guns going through testicles.
I mean, what do you want? Like, the first thing that happens is like the doors slam shut and people are like stuck in them, and then the doors explode. There's like all these glass doors. The doors explode, and the first thing is like a mannequin head hits the ground, but it's actually someone got their head decapitated in that moment. And I was like, whoa, nothing like this happened in the first movie.
That's when I started laughing out loud when the head dropped.
It looked like someone off screen was like, all right, throw the head. It just bounces like. Oh God, that was so funny. I was like, whoa, wait, someone's head got cut off?
And then the score does kick in, and it really does turn into like this action gearing up scene of like all the horrible teenagers being like, let's fucking kill her.
Yeah. You really get to like revel in their deaths in this movie, which, I mean, the kids in this movie are so much worse than the kids in the first movie.
They're so much worse. And everybody in this movie is just ready to murder.
Yeah. Oh my God. I did the shot, there's a couple shots of her, like, they look like they're out of like a music video where she's standing in front of like a wall of burning fire. That it does look pretty cool. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of fire. But a couple of those shots were cool.
How would you feel about watching this movie now and being in it and knowing that you not only played a horrible misogynist douchebag football player, but then you also had to shave your head for it?
Oh my God, I can't believe they did that.
Oh man, the stuff with the football team was pretty crazy. There's actually
okay, wait, how about the sexual assault football coach that makes the guy drop his pants and then like slaps his ass in front of everybody?
It was funny. Okay, it wasn't funny, but the way he does it, he's like, I thought he's like, drop trow is what he says because he's a cool coach guy. And then the guy does it, and then he like leans down, he like squats down, gets right up in front of his butt, and he says like, after that half-assed block you did earlier, I thought he was gonna be like, I gotta make sure you got a full butt back here.
Is that not what he said?
No, he said he had to check for a tampon string.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which
I had the same thought.
unfortunately is the only reference to periods in this movie.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But I was like, why would you say half-assed when you're looking right at his butt and not make a joke about him?
That guy should have farted. Honestly, like
That I
Good
mean,
opportunity.
There's an insane deleted scene on the on the DVD that was
did you have
titled
to hunt for it?
No, yeah. It is related to the football team and their shenanigans. The title of the deleted scene was "Are You a Dog?" Like DAWG, because they also changed the Bates High School mascot from like, weren't they like the Hornets or Bees or something, and now they're the Bulldogs. So in this totally insane scene, they're like at football practice, and they're like, yeah, football. That's what you do at practice. And one of the guys like is going in to hit one of those blocking things or whatever, and he falls down, and the coach is like, get up. Are you a dog? You got to prove to me you're a dog. Are you a dog? And then like everyone starts rallying around him like, are you a dog? Are you a dog? And they're like heading over like to the sidelines of the football field where they've got like, the coolers with drinks or whatever and water, and he's like, oh, you gotta prove you're a dog. And they open up this cooler, and it's like a cooler full of like giant raw meat steaks. The guy's like, prove are you a dog? You gotta prove you're a dog. And this is like the Mark McGrath guy or whatever, and he's like, he picks up this like red bloody steak, and he's like, I don't know, and then he takes a bite, and they're like, yeah. And then like Jesse and one of the other dudes like look at each other like, let's do it. And they run around and get right up in the thing and start going like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr," and like eating this meat like, "Arr, arr, arr." And then they're like, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is this scene? Is this like based on some real life story?
They actually spent money to shoot that.
They did. That's not even, yeah. I've got another one, but I'll save it till the very end.
What was it about 1999? Because it was also the year of Varsity Blues. Like, I guess we're a little bit before Friday Night Lights, but like, what was it about like the glorification? I mean, maybe it's out of like Animal House, and it's just like the jock version of that. I'm not really sure, but it seems like this was just like this pervasive cinematic mood happening at the time that always made me uncomfortable, because there was just like I mean, I was a little bit younger for these movies too. Like I didn't see Varsity Blues, but yeah, it's a really weird societal thing that like what was happening in 1999. And I guess I guess this movie is taking it as lampooning that and kind of skewering that and making them villains, which they are. But it also just
They're just like already roided out in high school, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
The things they do. The shaving head thing was just like, what?
And then this movie does make you watch like 3 or 4 football scenes.
Yeah.
There's the part where she breaks out of her house to watch him like throw the game-winning pass just in time.
Yeah, that was super weird. Super weird. And
she's run onto the field,
so
how you do
as
a spectator.
You did it,
man.
Jesse, you did it.
You've made the throw.
And he points at her like, that's my girl. Not you, Tracy. Not you. This one.
Oh, man.
Do you guys want to talk about the very end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stole her dog.
Yep. Yeah. So as we mentioned, like they tell each other that they love each other, and then the roof falls on Rachel, and he tries to be like, I'm gonna stay here and die with you, and then she telekinesis tosses him out, and it's like a stunt actor for a second. You can see his face. He's like, no. The way she tosses him is like so crazy too. I was like, what the fuck? He lands in the pool, so he's totally safe. So everyone dies. She dies. And we flash to Jesse at college, I guess, right? I assume.
Yeah.
Sure.
And yeah, he kept the dog, which I thought was weird. Like, how did that happen? Did he go I guess maybe the parent, the
They just
foster
didn't
parents
care.
were probably like, "Fuck this dog." Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like sitting at his computer or whatever it was, writing something. And you see in the background of this like huge mirror that he has for whatever reason, that Rachel's like sneaking in the background, like wearing all white, looking very ghost-like. And he isn't scared when he sees her. He turns around like, "Oh, hey." And they start making out.
Yeah.
And they make out for like a second, and then she stops, and then she turns into a ghost and explodes.
Like glass.
She turns
Shattered
into a
glass.
yeah.
That scared me. I literally jumped.
Yeah.
I was like, ah!
And then he wakes up from the dream to this. Like that.
Sean Yu is there. Yeah.
That noise happens for some reason. I'm like, he wakes up like. In my dream, I was being attacked by a bird.
Well,
Yeah,
if the original Carrie was taking cues from Psycho, obviously Carrie 2 needs to take from a different Hitchcock movie, and they chose The Birds.
Yeah, and then the final shot is this weird like shot of him in the mirror that I thought for sure one of the reflections of him was going to turn around or something.
I thought something was going to happen. Yeah,
I was like, why does he look so evil and possessed in this moment? Is he just like traumatized or what?
it's like, oh no, my dead girlfriend turned into a ghost CG porcelain doll.
Oh my god!
Which is not even like as poignant as the dream at the end of the original Carrie, because it's not like he's that traumatized. He was just kind of like, "Oh, I had a bad dream about my dead girlfriend."
Like, right after that, he was going to go downstairs and have a bowl of cereal.
No cereal for you, Walter, or whatever the dog's name was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to hear about the alternate ending?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy, do I.
Okay, so I was watching the deleted scenes and everything, and when I press play in the deleted scenes, there's like an intro from the director, and she's like going on about like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you get to see all these scenes," and she's like listing out the different scenes, and one of them she's like, "Oh, the snake, like, oh man, it's just this one was so cool, I loved it. It just was like an effect that we couldn't quite get right, and I'm just really excited for you to see this." And then the deleted scenes play, and like none of them have a snake in it. And I was like, what the fuck? What? She made a big deal about this snake scene. Like, where the fuck is this snake scene? And then there's another special feature that's like alternate ending with before and after digital effects or whatever. And I pressed play, and so what the alternate ending was, instead of her turning into a ghost and shattering into a million pieces, she stepped back and a giant CG snake came out of her mouth and then went into Jesse's mouth, and then he was like fighting the snake like like on his dresser. And it was hilarious because they had the like before and after effects, so they had the scene of him just going like with his mouth open and no snake, and it looked so funny. If you guys were here, recording in person, I would be like, we have to watch this after the podcast.
Oh my god!
I'm so sad.
Because maybe I'll see if I can find it on YouTube.
It makes no sense. There's no snake mention or imagery in the movie at all.
She said that people were confused about the snakes, so they were like, well, let's change it.
I will say that she took over this movie. The director walked out after a week of filming over creative differences, and she had to step in and like prep the movie in like a week for her and like reshoot a whole week of shots. So knowing that whole thing happened in 1999 when like that shit was not as common, the fact that the movie is watchable is impressive.
I'd be extremely interested to know what the creative differences were on this project.
Yeah. He wanted the snake in.
No, her name, it's in the title. Her name is Carrie 2. Like, we can't, her name is Carrie 2. We can't have the studio wants to be Rachel, but her name is Carrie 2. Okay.
That title is just so crazy. Like, I guess in a couple other countries, it was released as The Curse of Carrie, which makes so much more sense, or any Carrie : Legacy or something, but like The Rage, Carrie 2,
why
not
like they should be switched? Like, why is Carrie 2 the subtitle of this franchise?
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah, remember the movie like Dead Man's Chest : The Pirates of the Caribbean 2? That's like not proper franchise building.
Yeah, that's some real Rogue One, a Star Wars story bullshit.
Oh, no.
It's because when you go to Blockbuster and you're like, oh, let's see, let's look at Carrie. I heard they made a sequel, but it's not here.
That's actually in the R's.
I went to Carrie. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it gets all fucked up. They should have known better.
You're right. At that time, it would have been terrible. I wonder if Blockbuster managers overrid the alphabet at that time to place the Rage next to Carrie.
They probably did. That's what I would do.
If you worked at a Blockbuster in 1999 or 2000, email us and let us know where the placement was.
That's right.
Carrie, or I'm sorry, the Rage Carrie 2 DVD.
I want to hear about all the customers that came in and be like, where Carrie 2 is supposed to be out this week. I can't find it. Sir, it's actually called The Rage Carrie 2. We have to put in the R's. It's corporate.
So speaking of the 90s, I tried to do a child star check-in, but I couldn't really find this little girl that played young Rachel because her name is Kayla Campbell of Florida, which is an incredibly generic name. But I did find an article that, of course, the Orlando Sentinel ran about her when the movie came out. And, of course, they said that it was like her second or third movie. And she said that the director, they just painted her face and told her to act crazy. And so she was not scared at all. Filming.
Well, that wasn't hard. I mean, you're from Florida. It's pretty easy.
She was like,
I'm from Orlando, so I know.
I basically just acted like I was at Disney World, and it was fine.
Just a normal day in Florida.
They painted my face. I acted crazy. I got a churro.
Yeah, and so her parents took her to see the movie, and they allowed her to stay in the theater for the first 10 minutes or whatever her scenes are, and then they made her leave, and that was it.
Right before the suicide?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
What's Mark McGrath up to these days?
Is he still beefy?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That was the only kid in the movie.
Yeah.
Everybody else was 45.
Everybody else was 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was like that in the first movie too. I think.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah. So.
I don't think it's only recently where we started to actually cast people that at least sort of match the age that they are.
Yep. Wow. What a movie.
Yeah, is that it? I think that's it.
You want to do the ratings?
Well, let me just say, too, that the reaction to this film was pretty much universally bad. Everyone hated it and thought it was bad. But another thing is that 3 weeks after this movie came out, Columbine happened. So I doubt, many people were really super stoked to go see a movie about a bunch of high school kids being murdered immediately after that.
Yeah.
And so that could not have helped the situation.
Which is interesting because we talked about that last week with Carrie of that, how that ties into it. If that's an idea that's always been pervasive or it kind of got infused through pop culture, that's really interesting. That happened just a few weeks after this. That's crazy.
Well, and the thing with the original Carrie is yes, she gets bullied, but the pig's blood thing is so kind of extreme that you're kind of okay. But unfortunately, what happens to Rachel in this movie seems all too real and realistic. And, it's not just I mean,
maybe the football players don't have that crazy mirror setup, but everything else.
But yeah, instead of it being this is a disturbed girl who cracked, it's just kind of this was kind of a normal girl. And yes, her mom was crazy, but she was kind of a nice person. She had multiple friends. She had a boyfriend, it was going
She had a job.
blah, blah,
she
blah.
could take care of herself. Yeah,
exactly. And then it's this kind of not cyber, but video bullying and sex, gamification that causes her to kill everyone and is not particularly as crazed and haphazard as what the original Carrie did. It's a lot more, even though it's not planned, it is a lot more surgically executed. And so it is more it seems more intentional.
And the good boy lives, which is not what happens in the first one.
That's right. That's right.
And that's a dubious ending as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I want to go off this. I don't know which deleted scene I want to go off of. I want to go absent CG snake or raw meat inside of a Gatorade cooler. I think we'll just go with absent CG snake. How many absent CG snakes would you give The Rage Carrie to?
Okay, I'm gonna give it 3 absent CG snakes, which maybe you think that's kind of high, but honestly, like, I think they should have just not made it a Carrie movie. They should have let it be angry girl, sex game story, and it actually is not like as bad as I thought it was going to be based on like just kind of the discourse I had heard. But yeah, when you put it next to the original Carrie, it's like complete garbage. But as like, you know, in and of itself, it's kind of like, okay, like if this had not been linked to Carrie, it would have been a decent like teen horror 1999, you know, campy thing. So
I think that you saying that really made me think that if this movie had no association with Carrie and took the same like slow burn structure where like Carrie's just like a high school drama for a long time, like there's some supernatural stuff, but like it's hinted at really. And if this movie had that same structure and that just came out of nowhere that she's like, I'm a witch and just killed everybody, it would probably be one of the bigger cult movies and very popular. Yeah. If it was not related to that, because if they could slow burn that and pull that twist off, like it would, I mean, I would, yeah, you're absolutely right. The people would love this movie. I am going to give it, to, absent CG snakes. I think that the drop off of just putting Carrie in the title, the drop off from the first one is so steep. It does so many bullshit things of just like making it about the dad and like bringing back a character just to murder them haphazardly. It does so many things that we hate in sequels, and it seems all that more egregious when the first movie is so good.
Yeah. I think I also was going to give it a 3 missing CG snakes coming out of your mouth. And I think, it's not a good movie. It's not, I don't think it's that good. I did get enjoyment out of the insane final moments, which I don't know if they at the time meant it to be funny, but I certainly had fun watching it. And I do think it's interesting that they choose to tackle something different, with the whole like rape culture game thing that's going on. I feel like it would have been like, I don't know if it's like a ripped from the headlines kind of thing. I don't know if the intent was to kind of go a little bit harder on that in the movie and like make more of a statement, but I feel like it doesn't do enough of that. Like, I feel like there's still people that might, even though the characters get brutally murdered at the end, I feel like there's still people that might watch this and be like, oh man, that's a funny idea. Let's do it. Like, I don't feel like it goes far enough to make the jock guys seem like as horrible and like really demonize them. I feel like I could have done more in kind of like, landing that point, but yeah, I don't know. I think it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Again, same as Eliz. But yeah, still like, I don't know. Not a good movie.
Yeah. I think I would give it a 2.5. Can I give half?
Yeah, absolutely. Cut that snake in half.
We have no idea how big the snake is. So yeah.
2.5 absent CG snake. So half of an absent CG snake. Anyway. Yeah, I did get a ton of enjoyment out of it, and I was laughing like the whole time. I don't think that was the intent with a lot of the movie, but I definitely enjoyed it. But I agree with a lot of y'all's sentiments. And to me, there was a lot of things that were introduced but not developed. We talked about how what was really, because I gravitate towards character development, and I just felt so disconnected from so many relationships. Although I will say, Rachel and whatever his name is, Jesse, Chad.
Yeah, it's all the same.
I will say there were moments in their relationship where I was like, oh, that's cute. But like, like kind of pitying them in a way. So all that to say, it was a fun movie to watch. And the reason why I chose, because Elizabeth said, hey, whichever Carrie sequel you want to join in on, let me know. And I just looked for the worst rated one, and that was the one I went with.
That's the best way to pick.
Nice.
And I'm so glad I did, because it was definitely fun. But yeah, 2.5.
Yeah, the worst rated ones are often the most fun episodes, honestly.
Yep.
And we always come in like, what are we going to talk about? The movie was terrible. And then we have
terrible. And then it's like, oh, that's right. There was harpoon guns.
Yeah. So many harpoon guns. That was an insane house as well. So many TVs.
It really was.
Lots of TV screens. Yeah. What were we going to say, Tyler?
I was just going to say, where are we going next? I actually don't know if we're going to Remake Town or TV City.
Well, strap in, because now it's time for Carrie again, and then Carrie yet again a few years later. Next week we're talking the 2002 made-for-TV version of Carrie. It's just Carrie.
So 2002, so just 2002,
not
this.
not that much time in between.
Forget the rage. We're going back to square one.
Reboot, yeah.
That's kind of insane that it's just like, okay, Carrie 1999, Columbine, we get 9/11, and they're like, you know what the world needs? More Carrie.
Yeah. Put it on the TV.
More teenage violence.
Put it on the TV so everybody can see it real easy.
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think's going to happen? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, it's a good bet, and I don't know which way I'd go of which one's going to have worse music. I guess this is on TV. Probably that's going to have
the TV
worse
one.
music.
Yeah. If I had to guess, we'll see.
Was it made for a specific network? Or was it sold to multiple networks to play on TV?
It was on NBC.
Oh.
Yeah. An MGM
TV.
Yeah. It premiered November 4th, 2002 and was viewed by 12.21 million people.
It is Brian Fuller written.
Yeah. So it could be interesting. We'll see. I haven't seen it, so I'm kind of interested to see this take, because I have seen the remake.
I don't know if I've seen it or not. I can't remember.
The future remake.
Well, Eliz, I'm looking at the IMDb, and we're definitely gonna have stuff to talk about next week.
Ooh, okay, exciting.
About our favorite topic. This is not a totally a Lost podcast, but it is a Lost podcast.
Ooh. Lost references are favorite. Okay, well, Tani, thank you so much for going through this with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for
having me
here. Do you want to plug anything, your social, or where can people follow you?
Yeah. I would just say my website is probably the best way to find me. It's TaniPaigeshukla.com. Tani Paige Shukla.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And anyone can email us with their suggestions. We have 2 more Carries, and then we need to know where to go next.
And this was a listener suggestion. So please, send them in.
Yeah. sequelrights@gmail.com, or reach out to us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. It helps more people find us.
That's right. We'll see you guys on TV next week for Carrie.
Time is not a friend of mine. It forces me to wait for symbols of reality, inscriptions of my